Hi there! Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you'll stick around with me today and paint these joyful sunflowers and peony in a glass jar. Today I'm using my Mei Liang watercolor palette, my size 6 Intuition round brush by Artegria. I'm using my 300 GSM watercolor paper by B Paper Company, and today I'm going to be recording from a different angle than I normally am. Normally I record straight on overhead, and I've been experimenting lately with a couple of different angles, and I just want to thank Darlene, one of my viewers who reached out and encouraged me to try another angle. Hopefully this helps the focus issues where the focus tries to grab onto my hand movements and causes some blurring of the actual painting process. So hopefully that helps. And Darlene, thank you again. I appreciate you so much. Anyway, let's get started. So today I just want to paint. Surprise. And I think I will just paint kind of intuitively. I want to paint a little bouquet. I'm going to start with sky blue. This is from my Mei Liang palette, and I'm just making this wide stroke on the left, and then I'm going in and rinsing my brush. Sometimes I do that a little less vigorously, and then kind of use the residue on my brush, but I kind of got a little vigorous there with that rinsing, and so that's okay because I think this will look nice. And so I just came back, I just did the right side with water, and then I'm just kind of going back and blending with this left side. And the only reason I'm making a little extra effort on this edge is because that pigment made really a nice hard line there, and I'd rather it maybe not be quite so hard, but I think what I may do is drop a little more pigment in there. Oh, fun. That's fun. And then just swipe some of that off in the water, and just kind of blend a little more, get a little more of that over here to the right. And I like to drag a little bit of that pigment up at the top and just kind of make sure there's a little bit of, I don't know, shadow or something there. I do like to have some of that there. And you can see, as often for my little jars and vases, this is not perfect, and you can see my sides aren't completely symmetric, and I'm just not going to really worry about that. I don't think it really matters as much as we sometimes try to make it matter. Okay, a nice rinse, and then how about one big sunflower here? So I'm going to start with cadmium yellow, and I have a freshly cleaned palette. I actually cleaned this palette last week. I want to show you. I cleaned that and I haven't used it since I cleaned it. I just prepare some of this cadmium yellow on my palette. Okay, now to do these sunflowers, I like a really big sunflower today, I think. And so I'm just pressing, I just start with my brush with the tip, and then I kind of press the whole brush. Did you see that? And then I just kind of ease back off of it. And these, I just kind of foreshorten, and there you go. And I may do another sunflower too with this. I almost think I could use two. Let's see. Let's do a smaller one right here. And I just, you can fuss over those petals, but you really don't have to. You just don't. They're so forgiving, I think. So I like to go back and do some of these little slashes just to give a little more texture, a little more character. And it kind of looks like these are some petals that are kind of just layered, kind of in the background maybe. But I like the way that looks, and just tends to give it a little more character, I think. how about a peony with this? Now I'm going to use my deep magenta. Not always what I use, but such a nice deep hot pink. I really like it. Okay, and I'm going to start with these front petals that are closest to us. And then these little crescents kind of back here. And then I like to have some, you know, just 2 or 3, it just depends, of these falling kind of forward petals. And then what I like to do with these, because I like my peonies kind of soft, I gave that a good rinse and then a pretty decent effort dragging the water off of my brush. And then I just want to go and touch some of these petals with some water and just occasionally rinsing and dragging off my brush there. And I don't mind that the sunflower and the peony are kind of overlapping, you know, sort of bleeding together. I actually kind of like it. Just nice and soft. Let that just really soften up. It does kind of make me wish I had made these sunflowers bigger. But it is what it is. It's fine. I would like to maybe take some yellow ochre. And I'm just going to go in with some added little brush strokes, kind of to have some additional layers here. Just kind of in between some of these petals and some of those little slashes, just like I did with the cadmium yellow. I just like that it gives it such a layered look. Now these, I think, are a little dark, and I'm just going to soften those just a tad by brushing a little water into them. These are a little softer. I didn't have quite as much pigment on my brush, but I think that works okay. And maybe just kind of direct a little of this pigment here. May have to add a little up here because I really did eradicate so much in trying to soften it. Ooh, I love that. You can always wet and add some pigment in if you like. Let's see. I'd like to use this deep Hooker's green. Okay, this is going to be my stem for my peony, and let's just get some nice leaves in here. Okay, let's see. And what if we kind of, and I'm not worried about this bleed there. I'm just going to leave it. Sometimes I will just kind of take care of that, but I'm letting a lot of things bleed together today, I think. Okay, some olive green. Let's see. Oh, nice. That was nice and easy. And just some of these leaves, I'm just kind of dragging the tip and kind of a side of my brush here, just to kind of create some leaves that have a bit of character. Let's see. I like that very much. Okay, and how about for a little bit of fill, we just blend these two greens that we have. Blend a bit of the olive with that Hogarth's green, and just pick which one. And what I want to do is just have some little stems and leaves coming out here. And that has quite a bit of pigment, so I'm just dragging some off on my palette. And I just want to make these just kind of vague, easy branches of leaves. Not any particular kind of leaf, just some real easy, fun. And that needs a stem. How about we have a little bit more coming up here? Let's put some of these leaves inside here, just a little. And then going out here. I like to remember that it's okay for some of these to overlap just a little. I'm going to drag a little bit of this pigment just kind of up through the stems and for just a little vein on some of these leaves. Just that little bit of detail. And sometimes those little stems, I mean the veins, will kind of have a little curve to them. Doesn't really matter. Just a little something, a little detail there. One other thing I can do, and I could have done this when my leaves were a little more wet, so I may not mess with it too much, but while these leaves were wet, I could have dragged a little water in beside them to just let that bleed and give a little more character to those leaves. So some of them would look a little curled, and I think it'd just have a little more character, but I'm pretty happy with them as is. And I think what I may do is take a little more of this olive green and just take a very light wash of it. So really light. I'm just dragging off most of that pigment, and I'm going to make some leaves back here in the background, just kind of peeking out behind these flowers. Oh yeah, that's working. It's okay if they kind of overlap or underlap, you know. And then how about a few strokes in here? Just some little things to show some stuff in the background. I love it. Okay, 3 quick little things. I'm gonna make some centers for these sunflowers, a shadow for my vase, and I'm also gonna just kind of wet the inside of that vase a bit at the stems. I'm gonna do this really quickly, just this little imperfect oval. I'm just kind of dotting it in, turning my brush every now and then, just trying to find some places to fill. I like to turn my brush so that it's not just making the same impression over and over again. I always love this part. Adding the centers is just where suddenly these homely little, you know, are these sunflowers gonna look like sunflowers? Where that just starts looking like, oh look, it's working out. One of the things that really happens too is depending on how you shape that center, you really start to kind of define even more the shape, the tilt, the angle of that sunflower. And I just think that's so neat. So you can kind of come down here a little lower, you know, just depending on where you place it. But yeah, I like that. That's okay. And then I said 3 little things, but I do want to add a little yellow in this for my peony. Just kind of some little dots. And then how about let's just taking a small amount of water on the brush, just kind of go in. And then as you've wet, you'll notice you've reactivated the pigment in these stems, and you can kind of push some of that pigment. I love that. And then let's take, how about a little bit of Payne's Gray for the shadow. And what I'm going to do is just with some water, I'm just going to paint right under my vase. And then I'll take my Payne's Gray. Excuse my voice today. And I'm just going to drop that in right there. Oh, that's fun. Rinse that off a bit. And I'm dragging it off so I don't introduce too much water here, but just to kind of blend those edges. I love it. How about a little line for some kind of tabletop? Could kind of blend this a little, I think, but maybe drop a little more blue in there. I might do that. Just kind of blend it over this side. We'll see what I want to do, but just a little more of that sky blue. It's fun to kind of add that in those in the water. You see I kind of goofed there and got a little bit in my Payne's gray. Oops. And then how about just kind of run that up there. I am going to take a little cloth to where it bled into this Payne's gray. I'm not going to worry about it too much, and I think I may be able to add a little more Payne's gray into that, but yeah, that was definitely, oops, I did not mean to do that. But, you know, it is what it is, right? It's not a big deal. Very cute. One more thing that I thought I could do here, because I did lose in softening some of my peony, I lost a few little petals, and I thought, you know, I could go back and just kind of add some, overlap some of this softened area. And then just get some, you know, some more layers in here. And I like that fine. And then maybe blend this yellow ochre with the cadmium yellow, just to kind of tidy up these little petals. That softening that I didn't entirely achieve what I wanted with the sunflowers, and instead it just kind of hollowed out this layer. So going back and kind of filling that in, I think, was a good move for me. It feels right. I like it. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And you could go in, these leaves over here are rather dark, but I might be able to get a vein or two in there. That works for me. These are nice and simple. And then how about a few little veins in these sunflower leaves? Just drag that. And, you know, not trying to make these too entirely perfect or the same. I want to do the dark leaves first, so that I'm using my dark pigment first, and then I can kind of drag that off and even dip into the water if I think I need a lighter wash, but I'm kind of okay. I'm doing this very lightly in these kind of background leaves, alternately using a smaller brush, but I tend to not do that too much sometimes, but you do what feels right to you. I did not love how that went, so just kind of wet it and blotted it, and now it looks great to me. So I think that for me, I would call that finished. So thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you painted this quick little sunflower and peony jar, or that you'll save it and paint it some other time. I had such a good time with you today, and as always, happy painting.